Welcome back, friends. Lost Scarf here. Time for the vlog with our good friend Kirby. Bye. Okay, so vlog time. So let's talk about what happened this week. Do that, and see what thoughts come out of that. So, Monday was the date. She looked nice. I think I looked nice. We talked for 3 hours, which I think was important because we were exploring. Because, how to put this? So the date was, everything was a 5, is the best way to put it. That's how I'm going to word this. Everything was a 5, in that I think that's how she looked to me, and that's how I looked to her. Because I'm like, well, she looks nice. Nothing that attracts me, but she looks nice. I think it's the same for me. She's like, okay, he looks like a dude, and that's it. Like, I think that was it. Personality-wise, we were pretty stiff, and we were exploring each other a little bit, like trying to get a handle on each other. And I think there were some good questions in there, and some okay ones. But like on paper, we were just on the same page a lot. So it was like, she asked, "What's your best quality?" I'm like, I think my kindness and empathy. I'm like, "What's yours?" She's like, my empathy. He's like, "Oh, hey, same page. Hey, same page." And then I was like, "Okay, let's do one simple. What's your favorite color?" She's like, "Red." I'm like, "Mine too. All right, same page." And she's like, "Well, how do you feel about family dynamics?" Like, "This is what I feel." And she's like, "Oh, same." I'm like, "Okay, same page. And then we're on the same page on like so many things. Like all the boring stuff, we were on the same page. Like all the things that are important but boring, same page. All the exciting stuff, like hobbies, different places. Interests, different places. Like, it's very interesting. So like I told the matchmaker, like, we're on the right track, because she was great on paper in a lot of ways, but we just didn't really feel anything. And I was willing to do a second date. She was not. That sucks. Like, I think we need to do a second or third date to see who we are in other settings. But in a formal setting, we were both just nice. And I think a casual setting would be good to see. So be like, okay, I didn't really have much connection in a formal setting, but maybe in a casual setting I had more of a connection. Or maybe I'd have less of one. And then I would know, like, okay, yeah. Because I think best 2 out of 3 is not a bad idea than just the one date, unless it goes terribly. But if it just goes okay, I think you should do another date to see what happens if it goes higher or lower. And then you go like, okay, no more. Like, after that. That's what I think. But yeah, didn't do a second date. That's too bad. The food was good. So this food place is in the middle of nowhere. So it mostly gets like business. Like, people come there for lunch or dinner, like from the office buildings nearby, and I don't know how well that works out, but there was only a couple people there. We were one of them, but they had a really good appetizer, an octopus appetizer, and then their steak was okay, but it was okay. But like their octopus was really good, and like I paid for the dinner. I'm like, I've already put down a bunch of money for this. May as well just pay for the dinner too. Like, this was a nice time. Like, I think it was a terrible date. Like, oh, girl, you pay for your food. I don't know. But I thought, I'll be gentlemanly and pay for the dinner. Yeah, we talked for like 3 hours. I think that was pretty good. It was good. We got a lot of conversation. That actually surprised the matchmaker. Like, wait, people just do like a one and done hour? Like, that's not good. Like, yeah. I described it to Jing. She's like, well, if you guys got married, it'd be like a marriage of convenience. Like, it wouldn't be a passionate one. Like, yeah, it wouldn't be. We just too bad. Too bad. Yeah, it's supposed to be the first person you run into anyway, so it's time to figure things out. And then they're trying to line up a second one, and the second one sounds great on paper in the other direction. Like, she's got like all your interests. Everything else you gotta hash out. I'm like, okay. Because they're like, she likes board games and she's addicted to video games. Like, you have my attention. Like, yeah, she had to. This date might not happen because scheduling can be a problem. But they're like, she likes board games, and she had to back off on video games because she got too addicted. I'm like, oh, so she plays Genshin Impact. That's what I hear. Because I've heard women are having a hard time with Genshin Impact. Like, they're spending too much money and playing too much Genshin Impact. That is my understanding of what I've been hearing. And so that's crazy. Well, Genshin Impact makes billions of dollars. Genshin Impact spends a couple billion, like 4 or 5 billion a year on development and maintenance and advertising, because God, there's so many ads for Genshin Impact. And they make 10, 20 billion a year. Genshin Impact is insane. Like, I was like, yeah, I see why like Genshin Impact's a fine game. I see why people get into it. But it's still a gacha game, so that's why I got out of it. And also because I did everything and I got bored. And then same thing with Honkai. Honkai Star Rail, I think Honkai Star Rail is better. Honkai Star Rail is just a better game in my opinion. Better storytelling, better characters, better everything. Like, of course, there's a lot of lovable characters in Genshin, but I think Honkai just does it better. But I eventually get bored of that too. So, but I enjoyed that Honkai a lot. So I'm sure Honkai's making them billions as well. So we'll see if that date happens, because my work schedule is so weird. It might not make it so easy, but I would like it to happen because they sound fun. And that's my goal, is to at least have fun with these very expensive dates. Very expensive dates. Work is work. Work is frustrating at times. Work is fun at times. Work is frustrating again at times. Trying to get that supervisor role. So I'm like, hey, guy who schedules the supervisor substitute times. I'm like, here's what I'm doing, Graves. You think you can set up another substitute run during that? See if that happens. So in my job, so here's the thing, it's a double-edged sword. In my job, you do every shift, and the transitions can be rough at times. You do morning shifts and swing shifts and grave shifts. But the transitions are 7-day stretches. Like, in 2 weeks, I'll be doing 7 days of swings, which are the afternoon shift. And then in a month, I'll be doing 7 days of graves, which is the grave shift. And so that can be rough to do so much grave, but it is what it is. And here's the thing. Because of the way the graves are scheduled, I'd be doing 7 graves. But if I do the supervisor thing where I want to do it, I'll skip those 7 graves. But then I'll be doing a 10-day stretch, because what happens is I'll do the regular 9 to 5 for Monday through Friday, and then I do graves, because graves starts Friday night. So then I do 5 days of graves. So I'm trading a 7-day stretch for a 10-day stretch. I didn't realize that until after I sent the email. But still, it's 5 days and then 5 graves instead of 7 graves. I made a mistake, and I hope they don't actually do it. They don't actually take what I wanted. Because, oops. But actually, no matter what, this would happen. So at least I'd avoid the 7 to do the 10. Because if they schedule me the next 2 weeks later, it'd be that anyway. Where I would be doing... I'd be doing in reverse. I'd be doing 5 graves into 5 days, and then 5 days and into 5 graves. Oh God, that'd be so rough. Oh God. So no matter what, subbing at this specific time would be pretty rough, but I'd be avoiding some graves, so there's that. But woo, I did not think this through. Also, woo. What was the other thing? Oh, okay. So if you're in California, here's a downer thing. I'll talk about something more fun after this. To end it strong, to end it not so downer. But oh my God. So if you work in California and you're a government worker, you are mandated to take child abuse reporting training. And this is more meant for like teachers and doctors and firemen and cops and things like that. But they're like, no, all government employees, all of them, everyone. You're a guy digging a ditch, you need to know how to do this. And like, you're a guy who's me, working at a remote facility where you do not see children ever, because they should never be here. It's too dangerous for children to be here, because it's a big place with a lot of machinery and dangerous chemicals, so no kids should be here ever. You gotta take it too. Like, okay. I'm not happy I had to take it. So, the curse of knowledge is very strong with this, because they go over all the stats for child abuse, and then they go over things you should be looking for child abuse. And it describes so many terrible things. I freaking cried a couple times. it's a 2 hour. You watch it, so you got to click on things to continue going and stuff like that. Kind of training thing. It's like a training video. It's a training video series. You got to keep clicking next on or click on this for more information stuff and answer questions. And it was too much, to be honest. I cried a couple of times because honestly, this should not be happening to children. Well, it shouldn't happen to anyone. No one should be getting abused. But like, obviously, children should not be getting abused. And the first punch in the gut was when they did the age statistics, like at what age is there abuse and how much, like the percentage of children and all this stuff. I'm like, okay. I like it. Just kept because it goes at each age, like what percentage gets abused. I'm like, oh, that should be 0. That should also be 0. That's not. That should be 0 as well. That's also that. I was just like, this should all be 0. And it was tearing me apart. It was just, like, I did not need to know so many children get abused and the different ways they get abused. It was not fun. It was not fun. It was not fun. Like, I cried a couple times and I felt sick to my stomach a couple times. I was like, I don't need to know this. I don't need to know any of this, guys. Like, I'm not in the field to see any children at any point. Now, I want to talk to one of the new samplers at work, because a couple weeks ago I talked to her, and she was in Child Protective Services. That was her job. And she got out because it was too much. And I'm like, did you get PTSD from this? Because, oh my God. Did you get them flashbacks? Because, oh my God. Don't know when I'll see her again, but I want to talk to her about them. I was like, oh, Jesus. Oh, interesting thing, though. Very interesting. Not to get political or religious on this, but California mandates that clergy must report child abuse, which I think is very important, to be honest. It's been decades since what happened with the Catholic Church, but I think it's still important to remember, because that never should happen in the first place. The holiest of men never should have done that stuff, of course. Like, yeah, of course, they should not have done that. It is the terrible truth of life is just terrible people exist. That's it. That's it. It's unfortunate that bad people exist. And we don't have Kirby here to save us. Oh my God. It was just so much. It was so rough. A fun topic before we get out of here. I've been playing Tunic and Pal World. And they're both good games for different reasons. Pal World is just fun being a manager and automating. And the challenge, of course, for me is to be as humane as possible. I am not a monster. I have seen... Carbot has put animations out for Pal World. If you've never heard of Carbot animations, they're really fun animations where they distill a game pretty well. And they just show the abuses in comical ways. I'm like, yeah, you can be pretty effed up like that. I'm glad I'm not. Like, so there's 2 ways to go about it. There's 2 ways to think about things, and that is, I see things these things are ones and zeros. They're all purely digital, but they still show emotions and things like that, so I treat them like they are actual things. I treat a lot of things like it's actually a thing. Like, this just comes from childhood, I assume, because of Brave Little Toaster and things like that, where you had all these animated movies and all this stuff that gave inanimate objects emotion and gave them personality. So because of that, I address a lot of things as if they are, as if it's Toy Story. Like, all right, you're not moving, but I know you're gonna talk crap when I'm not looking. I don't know. Like, I kind of treat like that. So depending on things I'm doing is how things are oriented with all these Kirbys around me and things like that. In games, I treat things as if they are alive. So I do not abuse things. Well, it's interesting is it's kind of like the Undertale concept of it, of, well, like, you have the power of load, the power of save and load. So it's interesting when games accuse you of being a monster and then you reloaded, because, yeah, I've done that, but for me, it's like, okay, so I did a messed up thing, now let's reload the timeline so that the correct timeline's where things are nice for them. Well, there's some alternate timeline where I did something not so nice. I am weird like that, where if I did a bunch of things in a game and then I had to reload, I do all those things again except for the thing I didn't want to do. So I still had those conversations. So these characters still had their conversations. They still did their things. Just not that one thing I didn't want to do. So I don't know. It's a weird thing I do. Where I'm just like, these ones and zeros are they to an extent exist. They're not necessarily conscious, but in my own imagination they are. So treat them as if, I guess. Here's the thing though, AI eventually is going to make these living characters. Like, I'm very interested to see when that happens, when we hit RPGs with characters like they have their set script, but they have their set personalities, and they will react to whatever you say. Now, there's going to be a lot of looping and things like that, because they're not necessarily going to know what the hell to do with certain things you say, but it'll be very interesting to see that evolve. That is where creatively AI should be very interesting, is giving a story the ability to adapt to you. That's where it's good, where then you become like they'll have a person who's an AI crafter who's crafting an AI that is able to adapt well, and that'll be an interesting job to see done. Where you have this well-made script, but you also have the ability to adapt with the script around whatever you're doing to an extent. Basically, like, when you do a story, for the most part, there's branching paths and everything, but maybe this would allow the branching paths to be even bigger, I guess. That's where I see AI would be useful, is that. Yeah. Where was I with it? What? Oh yeah, because think about just conscious things. So like, yeah, my pals are not being treated inhumanely. I am trying my best to keep them happy. And when they are unhappy, I'm like, all right, I'm giving you a vacation, putting you back in the box, because that's the only way to give you a vacation in this game. And because when they're in the Pokemon bank, I'll say it that way. When they're in the bank, they're resting and recovering their sanity. So that's the only way to help them recover if you don't have the facilities to help them recover. Because it's still a early access game, so there's some bugginess where they don't go to the facilities and this and that, but there are ways around that. I try to be as humane as possible so I don't butcher my pals. And I don't sell them as slaves. I'm trying to see if there's a way to release them without killing them. Because I'm like, well, some of you guys are not great. I captured you because I wanted... Seriously, you get stuff for capturing pals, and you'll get stuff for killing pals. Well, you knock them out. You don't kill them. You knock them out. But, you knock them out, it's probably not safe for them. So I try to capture every pal I can, because you get the same drops no matter what. So my Pokemon box is very full. Alright, that's it. That's the vlog. Had fun talking about all this. And I'm weird. Oh, I remember what I wanted to talk about now, and that is the value of people and things. This is the thing I forgot with the date. My mindset I was having was, be fun. Be fun for yourself, be fun for them. And if you can, add something to their experience and gain something from their experience. That was something I wanted to do for the date, and I feel like that's important for human interaction in general, where add value. Not monetary, like, I don't need to think of it cynically. I'm trying to think of this optimistically, where interact with someone and add value to their day and take value from them, so you both gain something from it, from your conversation. So I just talked about a lot of interesting things that I found interesting, and just trivial interest as well. So they're like, oh, that's interesting stuff to know. And I was able to get interesting things out of them as well. I got their opinions on finances. I got their opinions on a lot of different things. And then I got their opinion on AI, which is very interesting, because they're a UX designer, and their opinion on AI was very interesting, because they're like, where they see AI as useful is as a tool to help them get through writer's block, or to help them conceptualize something that they're having trouble figuring out. So they're like, this is a thing I want, but I can't visualize what I want. I'll give it to AI. AI shows me their visual idea. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And then take elements from there and then figure out what they want to do. So using AI as a means of stepping stone or concept art or just helping when you have block. And I'm like, that's cool. That's an interesting way to see it. And so there you go. That's an interesting way to see it. All right, so that's it. That is the vlog. Hope you had fun. Hope you had fun. Well, I had fun. Hope you all had fun too. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time. Bye, 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 bye. See you later, Kirby. Bye, bye, bye. See ya. Yeah, I didn't check if I was. Yeah, I was recording. Thank God I was recording.